This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes, baby. It does not matter who the host is. Anyways, how are you? As we are coming to you on this lovely Tuesday of December the 5th of 2023. Yes, 2023. It is day 339th of the year, just in case you were wondering. And only 26 days left to go. Yep, 26ers. That's it. Then it's over. The year's over, and we move to that big 2-4. Yep. So there you go. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. So just in case you were wondering what the hell we're doing, that's what's going on. That's what's going in. That is what's happening. Anyways, with that being said, we are hanging out in this multiverse, but we are also having some friends hang out with us.
Radio in USA, Canada, UK.
Yep, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big, hanging out with the peeps here at Safety FM, because it'd be kind of weird if I was hanging out in somebody's studio and I'm not being able to do anything, because they'd be like, why are you in our studio? Yeah, I mean, I get it, so don't get me wrong. So let's talk real quick. Let's talk about what this is all about, what we are doing here, and all that kind of fun stuff, because I believe that those things are always important to discuss and move forward with. So if you're not familiar with the show, it's a simple process of what we do. We talk about safety in the news and safety. Yep, that's it. We talk about safety in the news. So you come in, we talk, we move, we hang, we bang, and all that kind of fun stuff. So listen, we have some professional broadcasters that come inside of this joint and start talking about the things that are going on inside of the world, though. That's kind of the fun part there. So with that being said, they tell you about the news. I tell you about what's going on inside of the world of safety as we do a main story, and we bring you all of the information that's readily available. Now, if you want to interact, it's a simple process. Callinradio.com. Yeah, callinradio.com. That will get you in there. Once you get there, video, audio, and text messaging is all available for you to do so. Now, I will tell you, you will have higher success rate with the text messaging. Just the way that it goes. So, with that being said, why don't we talk real quick about what the hell was trending in the overnight, because that might make it easier.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I take a look at the trends of the ends, it goes something like this. North Korea calls mothers to action, and Oxford announces its word of the year. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list. Taylor Swift could be Times Person of the Year, and Maren Morris is enjoying single life. We'll talk about that as we get into showbiz in hour 2 and 3. Robert Downey Jr. almost missed out on playing Iron Man, and we'll talk about that in some casting calls in hours 2 and 3. And then we'll give you all of the other nonsense of the things that are going on inside of here. Because why would we not do that? You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So I have Scott Carr hanging out this morning, and he's ready to tell you about what's going on in the news. I'm ready to tell you about what's going on in the news. So why don't we go ahead and do some news stuff? Because it sounds like it should be important. If he wants to tell you and I want to tell you.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Scott Carr. There could be bad news coming out of Ukraine. That warning today from NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg in an interview with German broadcaster ARD. The Secretary General was unspecific but pointed to Ukraine's small wins as critical in ending its war with Russia. His comments come as Western allies debate providing more ammunition and financial aid for Ukraine, and as Moscow increases its troop levels on the ground. The former U.S. ambassador to Bolivia is being charged with acting as a special foreign agent of Cuba. Trey Thomas has the latest.
Attorney General Merrick Garland says 73-year-old Manuel Rocha secretly supported the Republic of Cuba by serving as a covert agent of Cuba's intelligence services.
This action exposes one of the highest reaching and longest lasting infiltrations of the U.S. government by a foreign agent.
He served as ambassador from 2000 to 2002. I'm Trey Thomas.
The war between Israel and Hamas continues. The Israeli military says it's expanding its ground assault to all of the Gaza Strip. Some residents there have said there's nowhere safe to go anymore as the fighting spreads southward. This as rockets continue to be fired from Gaza into Israel. In Arlington, Virginia, several police officers are recovering from minor injuries after a home exploded and caught fire. Arlington police responded to reports of a man firing a flare gun into the home yesterday. Names on the short list for Time Magazine's 2023 Person of the Year include Taylor Swift and a fictional person, Barbie. Time announced their final list of candidates for the honor yesterday. Others on the list include those actors and writers in the Hollywood strike this year, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and prosecutors of former President Donald Trump. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Israel's military continues to push south in Gaza. The US military has discovered 5 more bodies after an Osprey crashed in West Japan last week. China says it wants to strengthen relations with the EU at the first Leaders' Summit this week since the end of the COVID pandemic. And at least 8 people have been killed as 2 of India's southeastern states brace for the impact of Cyclone Migjam.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
The Republican National Committee has confirmed who will be taking part in the next GOP presidential debate tomorrow night. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, as well as former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy will take the stage in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the 4th debate tomorrow. Again, former President Donald Trump will be in no-show, instead taking part in a Fox News town hall today. The 2-hour-long debate set for tomorrow night on News Nation. As former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney warns against a second Donald Trump presidency.
If you have a president who is unwilling to abide by the rulings of the courts, who's unwilling to uphold the Constitution, then there are no guardrails who can stop him.
Cheney tells NBC's Today Show there's no question in her mind Trump would refuse to leave office if given a second chance at the White House, citing Trump's actions following Joe Biden's victory in 2020.
If you look at what he did in the run-up to January 6th in terms of his pressure on the vice president not to count legitimate electoral votes, and then refusing to send help when the Capitol was under attack. A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in.
A border crossing in Arizona has been closed down until further notice. Mark Mayfield explains.
Customs and Border Protection recently announced the Lukeville port of entry southwest of Tucson would be temporarily shut down to both vehicle and pedestrian traffic. A social media post describing the closure last week said those working in Lukeville would be helping the Border Border Patrol with taking migrants into custody. The decision was met with criticism by multiple leaders in Arizona, including Governor Katie Hobbs and Senators Mark Kelly and Kyrsten Sinema.
Less than 3 weeks to Christmas, a Christmas tree shortage is being felt in parts of the country. Industry analysts say the biggest reason seems to be that people just aren't farming trees like they used to. The cost of a real Christmas tree is up about 10% this year, ranging on average between $80 and $100. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick.
A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it.
Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, more sarcasm than something or another, that's for sure. 14 minutes past the top of the hour because we are hanging out doing our thing today. There is no doubt about it. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk real quick about some things that are going on. So let's talk about this. Not all the time do we do this. But we need to make sure that we talk about everything that is going on in the world. And sometimes we tend to talk about some stuff in some things that we tend to talk about in regards of what is going on. So let's make sure that we talk about this. Someone politely pointed out that head in the cloud mistake that was made on Friday about America is returning to the moon with a lander for the first time in 5 decades, not centuries. So I just want to make sure that we're clear here, because it said 5 centuries, which of course was a clumsy mistake. It's one thing, that we do, that we mess up from time to time. So I messed that up. So I wanted to make sure that we were clear. Yes, it has now been five centuries. It's just another, one of those things that we screwed up. So it's 5 decades, not 5 centuries, because that would be even more interesting. So just want to make sure that we're clear. And I told you, hey, when something goes awry and we screw something up, we want to make sure that we reference it. So yep, blame it right here, because that's what I did. Anyway, so let's start talking a little bit more. North Korea wants to spur its own baby boom. You have Kim Jong-un Jr. Has announced that his female citizens have a patriotic duty to start cranking out more children. He made the call to action on the country's first national mothers meeting held over a decade. In a speech, Jr. said that stopping the decline in birth rates and providing good child care and education are still all the family affairs that he wants to be involved with, and that he should solve it together with mothers. While the notoriously secretive country does not publish demographic information, South Korean intelligence suggests that the North Korean fertility rate has steadily declined over the last 10 years. So could you imagine that? All of a sudden, the president comes out and says, "Okay, well, I'd like to have a meeting here with the women, and letting you know that you need to bear some more children." I just don't understand how that would work. I mean, I understand how it would work, but I just don't understand on how you could have a meeting of such a thing.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so listen to this. Welcome to On Retirement. ResumeBuilder.com reports that 12% of retired Americans say that they're going to look for work in sometime in 24. Respondents say that the increased cost of living driven by inflation affected their decision. More than 1/3 of those getting back into the saddle say that they are just bored. Good news is the vast majority of respondents said that at least somewhat enthusiastic by re-entering the workforce. At least 78% of them said that. So what do you think? I'm just asking. So let's talk about this. So you know that we're in that time of the year now where everybody starts posting that weird thing that your audio services will tell you about, hey, this is what you've been listening to the most and all this kind of fun stuff. This comes from either Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, all that kind of fun stuff. Well, take a listen to this. I mean, because I want to reference this. If you take a look around, there's a lot of people that post saying all the crap that they listen to on Spotify. And I'm not saying crap. I mean, I'm just saying, all the stuff. Maybe that's the better wording. But this one's kind of interesting. Streaming giant Spotify says it's laying off 17% of its global workforce. That's amounting to an estimated 1,500 job cuts around the world. And the company memo, the CEO said that Spotify overhired in 2020 and 2021, and borrowing costs have increased. Economic growth has slowed dramatically, and capital has become more expensive. Spotify is not an exception to these realities, he wrote. He says the cuts followed the modest 6% headcount reduction earlier this year and the 2% reduction in June. This is according to NBC News. Now, here's the other thing worth remembering. Spotify pulled out of the $20 million production deal that it had with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry earlier this year. No word on how much they actually were paid. So that's just something to talk about. So as we're thinking about this, I would imagine that we have to be close to the Joe Rogan Experience renewal. So are they doing everything within their power to make sure that they are able to keep him, or is this going to fall into that section as well? Now, I will tell you, when Joe Rogan was on, everywhere, because that's where he used to be. You can find him on any podcatcher. I listened to him more frequently, and it was interesting to hear the ads at the beginning and at the end of the show, because that's normally what they do. But I had not listened to a Spotify version in quite some time, and I think it's great that they do the video aspect. But I did not realize that now they actually do the interruption with the commercials throughout. That's not a complaint. It was just different than what it was when it used to be on Apple and all the other podcatchers at the time. So interesting to see. Anyways, we talked briefly about this yesterday, but I want to make sure that we talk about it one more time because I think it's important. Oxford University has named Riz as its word of the year. The slang derives of the charismatic, especially individuals, style and charm that attract romantic partners. More than 32,000 voted for the word of the list with 8 options provided by Quote Riz beat out prompt in the given artificial intelligence form. Situationship, yes, a word that millennials, foggies might know better as friends with benefits. So there you go. This is all according to CNN. So now you have the information about what the hell is going on. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, it's information. We're trying to get you all of it that we can get to your general direction. So with that being said, let's bring in some Erin Royale. Let her tell you about some money matters.
OpenAI's GPT store won't open until next year, thanks largely to the chaos surrounding CEO Sam Altman and the company's board of directors. Scott Carr has more.
The company behind ChatGPT now says its app store for AI will open in early 2024. OpenAI unveiled its GPT Builder tool at an inaugural developer conference in November. Altman had announced last month the store would open in time for the holidays, but unexpected disruptions, including the temporary removal of Altman as CEO, resulted in a change of plans.
The Supreme Court heard a challenge Monday from the Justice Department in last year's $6 billion settlement agreed by Purdue Pharma over its role in the opioid crisis. Ira Spitzer says at stake is whether the Sackler family, which controlled the company, will retain immunity from future litigation.
The Justice Department says the Sackler family withdrew $11 billion from Purdue Pharma during the 11 years before the company filed for bankruptcy in 2019. The bankruptcy was supposed to protect the Sackler family members' personal assets. However, the DOJ has argued that bankruptcy laws don't offer the legal basis to shield the Sacklers.
A bank order shows President Biden received regular monthly payments from a business entity associated with his son, Hunter Biden. The House Oversight Committee released the documents alleging that the payments of nearly $1,400 began in 2018. A redacted bank order set up by Owasco PC included a monthly transfer for then former Vice President Biden that at least 3 reoccurring payments were made between September and November of 2018. Virgin Galactic shares are plunging after Richard Branson said he's not planning to invest more into it. The British billionaire said to the Financial Times that his investment company, Virgin Group, hasn't been in great shape financially since the pandemic. But Branson said Virgin Galactic should have sufficient funds to do the job on its own. As of Monday morning, the company's stock was down 16%. Consumer and business news, Erin Royale, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Erin, for that information right there on what is going on inside of the world. Let's talk a little bit about what I was able to find on my side of the equation. The Dow lost about 41 points to close at 36,204 on Monday. The S&P lost about, 24 points to close at 4,569. The NASDAQ lost about 119 points to close at 14,185. West Texas Intermediate closed at $73 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $78 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.24 on Monday. Bitcoin is in the midst of what some analysts said would rally to about $100,000. It gained 5.8% on Monday, charting past its $42,000 mark. Bitcoin peaked at $64,000 in November of 2021. There was more than 2,770 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, with about 90 such cancellations. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for $377 million. I guess it's the jackpot, or $175.4 million cash payout. So there you go. You got about a fourth of the money. What a deal. What a deal. You know, it's Tuesdays, and we haven't talked about this in some time, and I'm going to do it on this one because I think we should. Today might be the day to take in a movie. Take a listen.
According to a study by GameSpot.com, Friday is normally movie night in the U.S., followed by Saturday, but Tuesday is the number 3 day to catch a flick, and there's good reason. Movie houses like AMC, Regal, and Cinemark offer big discounts on Tuesday tickets and even bigger discounts at concession stands. And that's where the real savings kick in, as industry insiders say the markup is about 800%. I'm Bree Tennis.
The markup is 800%. Wow, that's crazy. And also, let's not forget, most new movies, for the most part, come out on Tuesday for the streaming platforms. Just saying. When I was a kid, videotapes, yeah, those things. They used to come out back on Tuesday, so there you go. Anyway, Detroit is projected to have less than 100 murders this year as the city's homicides are at its lowest level since 1966. Wayne County Executive Warren Evans says the crime rates in general have dropped as there has been a push to clear the backlog of thousands of felony gun cases in courts.
But nobody wants to hear about the numbers of arrests. What people want to hear about is the overall reduction in crime.
Police say that overall shootings are down 13% since last year. Carjackings are lower by 36%. Detroit activist Terry Brent says that the work of the entire community is having an effect. So good to hear that things are improving to some extent. So there you go. Take a listen to this. This one's kind of an interesting one. When I saw it this morning, I was like, what? Are we sure here? Let's go with it. Former UFC champion Conor McGregor is teasing a run for president of Ireland. Trey Thomas has more.
McGregor posted a picture of himself on X with the caption, "Ireland, your president." McGregor has been very outspoken against the Irish government after riots happened in Dublin last month in response to stabbings in the city. I'm Trey Thomas.
So what do you think? Do you think that would be a possibility that he would actually run to be the president? Because it'd be interesting. I mean, let's not lie here. In regards of some of the things that we've seen him do in the news, it'd be interesting to see what the outcome would be. No doubt about it.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, entertaining, all right. Sure I am. There you go. So let's continue talking about some other things inside of the world. White Lake Township, Michigan, a 16-year-old boy has been found dead in a small pond in White Lake Township after he fled from police on Sunday. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard says that the body of Joe Polkowski was found around 10 p.m. Sunday after he ran from the police where they were responding to a Tractor Supply Company alarm that went off around 2 a.m.
Search and rescue team put in the Aqua Eye, which is basically a small side scan sonar device where they can look at objects in the water to see if something bears additional investigation. They saw something.
The teen was with a friend on the roof of the store when the alarm was sounded. Family members believe that the teen has drowned. I think that's a good observation. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the 16-year-old boy was found dead in the pond on Sunday night after climbing the roof of the Tractor Supply store. Take a listen.
And it was a shallow body of water, but you can literally drown in inches.
Yes, you can drown in inches. A lot of people are not aware of that, but that is definitely something that can be done, so no doubt about it. Take a listen to this. Soil Friends LLC is suing Comstock Township and the township officials in federal court over alleged constitutional and civil rights violations. The farm co-owner Benjamin Martin says that he had cedar tasting room permit that was issued back in 2018, and the township got compliance of the order from the Kalamazoo County District Court last December to shut down, saying that his operations were not up to code.
We have what we are as a farm, what we want to become, and through that process, as we were, kicked this off, was we got accused of being what we were trying to become before we even had chance to get there.
Martin says the township supervisor, Randy Thompson, told them to stop criticizing the township on Facebook and said that those would cause more issues with them seeking special exceptions to use permits. No court date has been set. Soil Friends LLC co-owner Benjamin Martin says that he is suing Comstock Township over shutting them down by a court order last December.
Although there were things that I didn't even agree with doing, I thought, well, instead of fighting, let's just try to see if we can work this out. But the goalpost keeps moving. It doesn't stop moving.
The goalpost keeps moving. It doesn't stop moving. Well, it's almost like a song. So there you go. Some other stuff going on right there. It's interesting that we're stuck in Michigan all of a sudden. Take a listen to this one because it's interesting too. Grand Rapids has equaled last year its 22nd homicide. Police Chief Eric Winstrom says the man in his 20s or 30s was found shot to death around 6 a.m. yesterday by a jogger near Hall Street in Marshall Avenue.
Investigation revealed that individual had been shot, and unfortunately, he was pronounced on scene.
He says that every murder in the city this year has been a result of a domestic situation or the killer and the victim knew each other. Grand Rapids set the record in 2020 with 38 homicides and arrests that have been made around half of the murders this year. Also, Eric Winstrom says that he's looking for the answers of what is going on with the 22nd murder this year.
We have a lot of detectives, a lot of police officers, a lot of forensic investigators doing the work of collecting evidence, going door to door, canvassing, looking for witnesses, and trying to start putting the pieces of this puzzle together.
Yeah, canvassing does help out in regards to what you're trying to do, no doubt about that. So there you go. Some interesting things as we are talking. So what do you think? What do you think about this? Do you give this any consideration whatsoever? I mean, I'm just asking the question because it gets kind of weird when you start talking about this. Anyways, let's talk about it because this was making the news all over the place. The race to replace expelled Congressman George Santo is already underway. Chairman of the Nassau County Republican Committee, Joseph Caro, says that they're trying to avoid another Santos fiasco by closely examining the potential candidates' credentials.
We will have a much more thorough vetting process now. We will retain an outside firm to do a complete background check.
Both parties need to present a candidate for a special election, with Democrats expected to announce their selection this week. Also, Governor Hochul could announce a special election this week, and when it happens, the election must take place between 70 to 80 days. Oh, so we're going to be talking about this for some time, is what it sounds like then. So there you go. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking. So there you go. There you go. What else do we have? Let's do one more. Let's talk about some gun seizures because that's always interesting. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says that stronger anti-gun trafficking laws has led to the uptick in illegal gun seizures. Kirsten also is saying that they're releasing the reports of the progress of law enforcement has made by the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that was implemented last year, which has inspired by New York City teenagers who was already shot by an stray bullet back in 2009.
This gun trafficking statute has been used to prosecute more than 200 defendants across at least 20 states. In total, law enforcement has seized over 1,300 guns across the country.
Under the measure, the federal government put $750 million towards mental health services to help hire more than 14,000 mental health professionals across the nation, including nearly 400 in New York. That's quite a few. Also, the release of the first of its kind report shows that more than 1,300 illegal guns were confiscated, and more than 200 defendants have been charged under the federal legislation new gun trafficking statute.
While there's so much more work that we need to do to keep firearms out of the hands of dangerous criminals, I'm very proud of the progress we've made, and we will never stop fighting for a safer community and a safer future.
Also, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said the following.
We are trying to hold people accountable and prevent gun violence in our boroughs. And that's what this legislation does, Senator. Holds people accountable for bringing guns in from the South.
Why? Well, I guess at some point everything seems like it's coming from the South if you kind of put it into that way. But hey, That's the way that it goes. Let's do this because it is 33 minutes past the top of the hour. It sounds like we should do that main thing that we do around this time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, main story time here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that as we are talking, so let's get into it. You know, we get to hang out mostly Monday through Friday, if you allow me to do so. And we'll talk about some things that are going on. We'll talk about the things that are happening. We'll talk about those things that people go, wonder how that would work. But let's talk about this. Have you given any serious consideration to the following? On how it seems that your day goes by and you're racing against the clock. Yeah, racing against the clock. And I say that from the standpoint of this. Think about the job that you do. There's some assumptions here that if you are listening to this show, it's more than likely you do something within the safety industry. Even though we have some high-risk people that are involved with the show, and we also have some operational people, but we'll leave it at that. But think about it. The job that you do, you're always racing against the clock to some extent. And let me explain what I mean here. You're looking for either the next incident, accident, fatality, and you're trying to make sure that you can put everything in place to avoid the next thing from happening. You're racing against the clock. There's also this other scenario that everything that you have to get turned in before the next event occurs. You know what I'm talking about? Because when we start taking a look at some of the stuff that we do, we look around and go, okay, this happened because this was set off, that set this off, that set that off, that went into the next thing. I don't know why it works that way. It just does. So as I sit back this morning and I talk to you a little bit about this, what do you think? Do you feel the pressure of always going against the clock? Do you feel the pressure of something always going on where, to an extent, and I am going to use the word extent here, you seem like you're always firefighting? Yes, firefighting. And I say that from the standpoint of, well, you're constantly doing stuff to make sure that the next thing doesn't happen. You're doing stuff to put out the next fire. Is that something that you'd look at and go, yes, that makes sense? If that's the case, I would love to hear more about it. Of course, you can always go to callinradio.com to tell us more about it. But as I look at it and I go, how realistic is it that everything you're doing is to work against the clock? Is that the best way to actually resolve your issues? Or are putting safeguards in place a better opportunity overall? Think about that today, because that one's kind of one of those weird ones that you never know where it's going to take you.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners.
Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Okay, we are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show, 42 minutes past the top of the hour. You know, we're getting to do all the deets, buddy. Yeah, this song right here is Keston Wright with No Room. This song's readily available on Spotify, YouTube Music, some Apple Music, some música de la música. Tú sabes, mi amigo. So there you go. Give it a little streamer-eamer action if you get the chance to. That's Keston Wright. So there you go. Okay, let's get back into the move and the groove of the things that we get to do, because why wouldn't you want to do that, of course? So there you go. So let's talk real quick about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And people at To Write Love on Her Arms want you to know that people have been where you are now
and things can get better. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. Yep, Find Help. That's available for you right there. Also, before I forget, when is it? December the 9th. Yeah, To Write Love on Her Arms and Friends Warehouse sample sale. I'm not sure what that means in regards to that, but let's talk about it. Last call to get in-person shopping done at TWLOHA headquarters before the holidays hit, and we aren't going to be alone. So there you go. Shirts, outerwear, hats, home goods, and so on will be readily available. Event starts at 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, and it runs till 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you got some options if you're so inclined to do so. That's To Write Love on Her Arms. We'll get you moving and grooving over there. So just some information for you. So TWLOHA.com in regards if you're looking to find help. Also, some of the events that are coming up, and I'm referencing them because, hey, it's happening this weekend. Talk about how quick that is. So there you go. There you go. Go there. Yeah, you go. So let's continue talking about some other things that are happening inside of the world because that is just what we do around here. No doubt about it. Anyway, so in December, get to see some and a lot of red and green this month, and pink apparently. And you can blame, the Barbie movie for that. Barbie core seems to be spilling into the holiday season for some fans that are ditching the traditional colors of the season for all things pink. The Unifurry online shops that sells customizable gifts says that they have analyzed Pinterest trends data and found that searches for pink Christmas trees have spiked by 286%. The gifting expert said that a pink Christmas tree is perfect. Fun centerpiece for Christmas, offering different touch of the traditional color scheme and the perfect photo opportunities. Searches for pink Christmas decorations have also increased by 198%. They're warning us that prepare for the pink babies. Yes, the pink babies, tinsels and lights, and bringing a vibrant holiday atmospheres that's bound to delight, by the way. Amazon offers a selection of pink trees starting just around $40. That is definitely not a plug, just information. All the year long, people have been saying that you can never have too much Barbie. Well, I finally had too much Barbie. Okay, I'm just saying. And we've also got some pink Christmas lights outside and any pink lights that I mean red ones that are faded because I left them up all year. So there you go. I don't know. Let's talk about those letting lights up all year for a moment. So there are a lot of these traditional light manufacturers, as you can see the lights behind me if you're watching on the video, that are now offering permanent lights that you can leave at your house year-round outside. Now, I will tell you, I have been debating about this, but I don't know. Like, what would you do year-round with the lights once you get them? I mean, would it be just kind of a color scheme thing as you move forward? I never know. I'm always kind of looking at it and going, it seems like a good idea until you actually do it.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it. You know that type of guy. Yeah, you know that type. The guy who is the first one in the office in the morning and the last to leave. The guy or girl who worked the new proposal all weekend and is always reachable even on vacation. The person about whom everyone says the dude loves the job way too much. Well, it turns out that he or she doesn't actually love this job. He's just an addict. New research says the university at a university shows that the mood of a workaholic, those who suffer from addiction of their work, is actually generally worse than others, and even they are doing something that they're passionate about, like their dream job. They conducted as other forms of addiction. They initiated euphoria that gives them from the negative emotional state that pervades the person even while at work. And would you have a call with someone who is opposite of a workaholic and is miserable all the time, asking for a coworker, just saying? And then the other thing is that I'm not a workaholic. I just want to keep my job. So there you go. Some stuff to think about. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a pretty interesting one. What do you think? Do you look at it and go, do you know anybody who is a workaholic, that is their number one priority of stuff? Or do you go, no, don't really know anybody like that. Just saying.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show. Safety Show.
I'm just saying, I'm just asking, that's how these things go. Some things have to happen. Some things are always going on. So let's talk about this. Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney is warning against the second Donald Trump presidency. Take a listen to this.
If you have a president who is unwilling to abide by the rulings of the courts, who's unwilling to uphold the Constitution, then there are no guardrails who can stop him.
During an interview on NBC's Today, Cheney said that there's no question Trump would refuse to leave office after a second presidential term. She said that she believes that Trump would stay in power as long as possible, citing the former president push to overturn the Biden 2020 victory. Cheney said that the real threat of the U.S. could slip into dictatorship under Trump. Former Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney says that Donald Trump would refuse to leave office after the second presidential term.
If you look at what he did in the run-up to January 6th in terms of his pressure on the vice president not to count legitimate electoral votes, and then refusing to send help when the Capitol was under attack.
Cheney believes that Trump would stay in power as long as possible.
What happened in 2020 and January of 2021, in many ways, they can look at as a practice run, and they know now what it would take, in fact, to attempt to completely unravel the foundations of our republic.
Cheney says that there is a real threat that the U.S. could slip into a dictatorship under Trump. I feel like I said this.
A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in. People have to recognize that a vote for Donald Trump is a vote against the Constitution.
What do you think here? What's your overall thought about what she's saying? I'm always kind of interested in what people have to say about it. There is no doubt about it. Anyways, let's continue talking a little bit more. The San Diego Public Library is receiving grants so you can treasure special moments in time. Phil Farrar has the deets.
$350,000 from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. This will expand the digital memory lab services throughout San Diego. The donation will create 3 additional digital memory labs to allow patrons to save information and memories stored on forms like VHS and Betamax tapes, along with 8mm film, 8-track, reel-to-reel, and other audio tapes, slides, negatives, even floppy disks, transformed to digital. I'm Phil Farrar.
Okay, thank you, Phil, for that one. Let's talk about this real quick. A string of recent break-ins in La Jolla Village is leaving shop owners concerned. Victory Ruiz at the Box Brothers says he hopes that the incident opens the eyes of law enforcement.
We would like more policing around here, and hopefully this is a wake-up call.
The Burger Lounge Box Brothers said that the nail shop, as well as the second saloon nail shop, all were broken into early on Tuesday last week. San Diego PD says that it appears the suspects are they're responsible. People in the area suspect that the break-ins are all related, but currently it is unknown. So some things to think about right there. Let's do one more real quick. In Arizona, border crossing is closed down until further notice. Mark Mayfield has the deets.
Customs and Border Protection recently announced the Lukeville port of entry southwest of Tucson would be temporarily shut down to both vehicle and pedestrian traffic. A social media post describing the closure last week said those working in Lukeville would be helping the Border Patrol with taking migrants into custody. The decision was met with criticism by multiple leaders in Arizona, including Governor Katie Hobbs and Senators Mark Kelly and Kyrsten Sinema. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that one, keeping us informed. Take a listen to this. A pair of parents in Jefferson County are looking to answer after their 11-year-old daughter was assigned a transgender roommate on a school trip. Attorney Kate Anderson says that the issue could have been solved easily.
It'd be very easy to do this confidentially by providing this policy to parents and letting them work things out ahead of time, who their kids are going to room with, without revealing anybody's identity or who's going to be scheduled into the rooms ahead of time.
On a trip to Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia this summer, Serena Wales says that her daughter was assigned a room with 3 girls, one in which we're told that he was a boy who identified as a transgender. Wales, who was also known on the trip, says that her daughter called her and said that she got along with the student but felt uncomfortable being in bed with a biological boy. She went on to say that after talking to the chaperone, her daughter said that the student was moved to another room. The U.S. Department of Education says that the schools are required to protect the privacy of transgenders. So there you go. Some information for you right there as we are talking. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we do this? Let's bring in some John Smalls for some Motivation Minute right now.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Robin. Oscar Wilde said, "You don't love someone for their looks or their clothes or their fancy car, but because they sing a song only you can hear." I love this. I probably wouldn't have gotten this quote in my younger Wilde days, but now that I'm married for over 2 decades, I can tell you what, Oscar Wilde is right. My wife is weird. That's okay. I'm also weird. And so are you. We're all just a bunch of weirdos wandering the earth looking for another weirdo who is our kind of weird. Now for us, it's our weird sense of humor. There are things that we both find humorous where others would probably cringe, but that's the best. We get one another. We like the same odd, weird things. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Doctors and delegates at the COP28 UN Climate Summit are warning of imminent risks if efforts to slow climate change aren't stepped up.
With average temperatures around the world set to keep rising for decades, health experts warn many nations will see healthcare costs rise as hotter temperatures make heat waves more dangerous and fuel the spread of diseases like malaria and cholera. An official with the UAE said the impacts from climate change are one of the greatest threats to human health in this century. I'm Scott Carr.
A group of Republican senators wants President Biden to temporarily ban travel between the U.S. and China. That's due to a recent spike in Chinese respiratory illness cases. The lawmakers, led by Florida Senator Marco Rubio, say travel should be restricted until more is known about the pneumonia outbreak in children, adding that China has a long history of lying about public health crises. Health Updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. 55 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yes, lovely, I might say. Lovely. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this day. As I take a look around, let's see. What do I want to tell you about? Let's talk about 2018, the National Day of Mourning for former President George H.W. Bush, as he lies at the state Capitol Rotunda in Washington. Bush passed away on November the 30th from vascular Parkinson's disease at his home in Houston, Texas. He was 94 at the time of his passing. So there you go. That happened back in 2018. Let's take a look at some birthdays that are going on today. Conan Gray turns 25. Maddie Pope turns 26. Frankie Munoz turns 38. Carrie Hilson, 41. Shalom Harlow turns 50. Catherine Tate turns 54. Lisa Marie turns 55. Margaret Cho turns 55. Brian Backer turns 67 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I always have some of those to talk about. World Soil Day, Bathtub Party Day, Satcher Tort Day, International Ninja Day, and National Repeal Day. So there you go. There's some stuff for you. If you were looking at some days to celebrate, do you feel very celebratory today? Because if you don't, you should now. I mean, that's something. That's something to talk about for sure. Anyway, let's talk about, did you know, according to a new study, people who are addicted to social media are more likely to be narcissists. Romanian researcher had 559 people between the ages of 18 to 45 complete a survey that involved tests evaluating narcissism, stress, symptoms of social media addiction, and the fear of being detached from the mobile phone connectivity. It was noted that participants who scored higher on the scale of narcissism traits were more likely to experience significant levels of, nophobia. Researchers also say they concluded that narcissists need to feel important, though. Admiration for others can easily be fulfilled via likes and comments on social media. Scientists also probably just jealous because it's better than them. So there you go. I'm better than you and you know it. Or maybe that's the way that they were looking at it. So there you go. Some stuff always going on. If you need a random joke for today, try this. My cactus just died. Now it's official. The desert takes better care of plants than I do. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. Which member of your family do you spend the most on at Christmas? A survey found that husbands spend the most on their wives, while wives spend the most on their sons. So there you go. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. Question. The average family will do this 8 times during the holidays. What is it? eat leftovers. So there you go. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it does not make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. That is for sure. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome on doing so. I'll be going over to radiobig.fm here for the next couple hours after this show, or after this first hour, better saying. And Sheldon Primus will be coming into Safety FM and talking about the world of safety consulting. So you have some options available if you're so inclined to do so. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Why saying often fall on barren ground, but a kind word is never thrown away? Think about that. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, meet it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.